Hello everybody, welcome to Global Football View, the channel that keeps you up to date with all things football. And today our view is on Benjamin White, the Arsenal right back and centre defender who has extended his contract with Arsenal Football Club. I can tell you it's been a roller coaster 24 hours for Benjamin White, who rejected the call-up for his national team. We're going to give you a little bit about what's going on regarding Ben White and the England manager Gareth Southgate. But first, we'll say congratulations to Benjamin White, the Arsenal right back, for signing an extension to his already contract with Arsenal to 2028 with an option of a further one more year, making it to 2029. We say congratulations to Benjamin White and also Arsenal for tying down one of the most informed right back in the Premier League currently. And the big news that broke today was the England manager Gareth Southgate saying Benjamin White has rejected his call up to the England national team. He said Edu gave the call to the technical director of the England national team, saying that Ben White has said he would rather not like to be called up for this friendly which will be taking place coming week. And this kind of a story that has been running around the media at the moment, and I believe a lot of people are taking this out of proportion and not taking the player side into consideration. Firstly, I don't advise players to reject being called up for the national team. It's not something I would advise any player, aspiring player, or even the professional player to do, because I believe the national team football is very, very important when it comes to representing your country. But we really need to understand that Ben White cannot just on his own decide not to be called up for the national team, because if you look previous time, Ben White has really been in support of being called up for the national team. If you go through his Twitter page, you see a lot of messages which Ben White has been sending. Even when he wasn't even caught up, he still support the national team. And sometimes he said it's a really pleasure to be caught up with the national team. Things like this is what you dream for. These are the words of Benjamin White. And you cannot just sit and say such a player will just sit and turn around about the national team and don't want to be involved. Then something might actually has gone wrong. And I believe Gareth Southgate is not telling the whole truth by saying there's nothing wrong between himself and Benjamin White or Steve Holland, which is the assistant manager to Gareth Southgate with Ben White. Has the news we received during the Qatar 2022 World Cup that there was a bust up between Benjamin White and Steve Holland during the World Cup. And Ben White came back so early from the World Cup, and the words of Mikel Arteta after the World Cup when Ben White came back was like, we know what happened. We are solidly behind you. Ben White is a player which I know very well. I know how to get the best out of him, and we're solidly behind you, meaning there's something wrong with the camp of England. And people are not really paying attention to the words of Mikel Arteta or paying attention to why Ben White has rejected being called up for the national team. I think there's a lot of things, a lot of water under the bridge which needs to be unraveled. And the media this period has not really been fair on the side of Ben White, because only Gareth Southgate has come out to say something about why Ben White has rejected the call. He didn't even say the reason why Benjamin White refused the call up yet. I've seen news like Ben White is a disgrace, it's shameful that he has rejected to be called up for this national team. And I believe things like this shouldn't be said if we really do not know what is happening between the camp of the England national team and Benjamin White's camp, because you cannot base a fact based on just one person's opinion, which the opinion currently is on Gareth Southgate saying that there's no problem. You can't tell me that there's no problem with Ben White and he just decided not to be caught up. That's not true. According to you, according to Gareth Southgate, he called up Ben White during the time where Ben White was in Brighton, called him to the 2020, I think I think the last Euros, yeah, Benjamin White was called for the English national team, and also the last World Cup in Qatar, it was also called up. So such player cannot just sit and just turn his back on the national team. I believe Southgate is not telling the truth. If Southgate really wants to tell us what's going on, he should come out and say what happened and the reason why Benjamin White has refused to be called up. Because Mikel Arteta cannot say he knows the reason why Ben White has refused. Why Ben White came back from the World Cup so early, yet the manager who was in charge of Ben White during that period of the World Cup comes out and say that he doesn't know why Ben White has been giving attitude and not wanting to be called up for the national team. So I believe Gareth Southgate is not saying the truth, and the media really need to dig deep from inside, because you cannot just base an assumption or a statement or a fact based on somebody's opinion, whereas you have not gotten Benjamin White opinion on the matter. And the media of Arsenal Football Club really did something which I think is like they were really prepared about what was really going to happen today in regards to Gareth Southgate statement and throwing Ben White under the bus. Because if you look at the video of Ben White's extension at Arsenal, the players came out saying things about how good Ben White is, how lovely to have a player like Ben White in their camp. Ben White is a warrior. Even the words of Rob Odin last year was saying Ben White is the kind of player who doesn't really go down injured. Even while he's injured, will go through the pain just to see his team win. So I think Arsenal are doing their bit to counter whatever Gareth Southgate might be painting in regards to Ben White. And the Arsenal players really came out in full support, saying Benjamin White is a fun guy, a player you want to have in your ranks, a player you want to have as a teammate and plays through pain barrier just to see his team win. So I say kudos to the Arsenal media, because they really got prepared today for what Gareth Southgate was about to give to the media. And I can tell you for a fact, I do not care about the English national team. I'm not an Englishman. But I believe Southgate is not a great manager, because if Gareth Southgate was a good manager, an elite manager, things like this, he shouldn't have thrown Ben White to the media, shouldn't have thrown him under the bus, because saying that you don't know the reason why Ben White came back from the camp early is like you are trying to put all the blame on Benjamin White, saying Benjamin White is the cause of the reason why he's not in the camp. Whereas we do not know from our own side what has really happened. You have not told us what happened, and you cannot tell us that there's no problem between Benjamin White and the England national team, because the media really came at us at the time and said there was a bust up between Steve Holland and Ben White, and Ben White not acclimatizing to the camp of the England national team. And what I really would have expected the media to do was to respect the decision of Benjamin White, because there are some times where we have gotten players who were really in good form for England, yet the manager like Southgate refused to call up such players. I think the last international break which they had, Raheem Sterling was in great form for Chelsea, but yet he was left out of the national team. So I didn't see any of the media calling Gareth Southgate a disgrace for doing such things like that. I've seen a lot of times whereby players who have been in great form, even in Arsenal, they don't get to be called up. Players in Chelsea, Manchester United, they don't get to be called up for the national team. But the likes of Maguire, the likes of Kevin Phillips gets being called up for not playing at all for their club side. So, but the media do not go around and say that the England manager is a disgrace or is a shame. So I think the media really need to do their bit and respect Benjamin White's decision not to be called up. If you really want to know why this man has not been called up, go to him, ask for a media interview so you get to know the whole gist. If you do not know the whole story why this man has refused to be called up, then I think you should shut up your mouth and just let this thing slide. And Gareth Southgate is the cause of the whole reason why so many things have been said in the media throughout the last 24 hours. So I say, as an Arsenal fan, do I care if Ben White is called up for the national team? No. Do I care if Ben White is going to represent his national team? No, I don't care, because I believe his own decision to make, and he has decided not to be called up for the national team, so be it. And good for Arsenal. We're going to have a fit and fresh Ben White for the coming part of the ending of the season. So I say, Guys, Southgate, you need to sort out your team, sort your ass out, and stop throwing players under the bus. Let me know in the comment section what you think about Ben White rejecting the call-up to be a part of the English national team. Do you think Ben White was right to have rejected the call? Let me know in the comment section. Until we see you again, don't forget tomorrow, I don't know when you will see this video, but on Friday, the draws of the Champions League will be out, and I'll be here to give you a breakdown on the teams who have been paired for the quarterfinals. So till I see you again, like this video, share to your friends, and let me know in the comment section what you think about it. Peace out.